Hello and welcome to Tech for Non-Techies, the only podcast that demystifies the fast-growing technology sector. I'm your host, Sophia Matveeva, Chicago-based MBA and tech entrepreneur. My aim here is to give you the skills, knowledge and confidence to find opportunities in the tech sector, whether that's through founding a company, getting a dream job, or bringing a fresh perspective to your work. Hello, Smarty Pants. This week, we are delving into product management and growth hacking. You might be thinking, what are these terms? Well, these terms have come from digital innovation, but I think they've spread to other sectors. Product management and growth hacking are jobs that non-techies can transition into, and in my opinion, they're pretty interesting. Also, keep on listening if you are a non-technical founder because you need to have a grasp of what product managers do because you'll be doing a lot of that job yourself, and you definitely need to understand what growth hacking is because ditto, that's something that you are going to be responsible for too. What you're about to hear is a part of a live session that we had on Tech for Non-Techies with Stephen Hemmings. Stephen leads the growth function of Busuu, which is an online learning business. You'll hear all about it in the podcast. His job includes working on the product and also working with a customer acquisition team. If you want to participate in all of our sessions and ask your questions live, then join Tech for Non-Techies as a member. So, Stephen, last time I saw you, it was when I was in your office, when it was possible to do such things, and I was talking to you about product management for an article I was writing for Forbes. And the great thing about writing for Forbes is I get to speak to people like you, but also I get to pretend that I'm interviewing you about something, when actually what I really want to know is basically your expertise. And at the time, I had founded a company and it actually had products. And then I figured out that we needed a product manager and I had no idea what the hell that was. So I thought I'll use my Forbes column to find out what product management is by writing articles about it. And yeah, it worked. So that's how I came to speak to you.
Yeah, I remember. That's going back some years now. I think I just started at Busuu, so like 3.5 years ago, maybe. I think it was.
Yeah. But you seemed like you knew what you were talking about. You knew more than I did. So what do you do now?
I'm still at Busuu. So I've been here I joined early 2017 as a growth product manager. So it was kind of my second real product management role, and it still is in terms of like the job title. And I'm still here to this day, working, running kind of the growth product organization for the business across, all our platforms. So we're a language-based app. Also have a website. We've been going for a good like 10 or 12 years now. So it's certainly a fun and ever-changing experience, especially in growth. So and this year's just made it all great. It's basically changed the job entirely in many ways and changed the business. Working in ed tech, especially, it's been amazing. So it's kind of given it a new lease of life for me as well. To continue on in growth product in one company for beyond 2 or 3 years is not very common. I've had comments on that before, but this is certainly for Busuu. It's an ever-changing place, and continue to absolutely love it. And it's been good times here, and kind of looking forward to many more years.
Awesome. So for people who don't know, could you tell us what Busuu is? Because obviously I've tried it. I have tried learning something on it, but please enlighten us.
So Busuu is at its core a language learning app and website. So we teach 12 languages. We're represented across the world, from South America to China to Europe. We've got around 100 million users as well who've used the product. And typically we're a little different in language learning. So the premise of Busuu is all around learning together. And within it is our community who help to correct each other. So you'll come across exercises where it gets submitted to people who are fluent in the language you're learning. They'll help correct it. You'll have a back and forth. You'll help learn together. There's a big, strong community feel to it. And we've kind of got this backed up with this approach to what we call smart learning, which is the use of AI to help kind of focus your learning through study plans, through working on weak words, and reviewing in that way. And so that's the core of its product. And as I say, it's been about 12 years, I think, now we've been running, and at the very kind of center of it is this community, this social interaction between people, and the concept of learning together.
So there's basically the product, which is the words, the phrases, and then there is the community. And am I right in remembering that you told me that somebody in the community actually married somebody else, that somebody was helping somebody else to learn a language, and then they got married?
That's correct. Yeah, I think we've had a couple of marriages now, actually. So yeah, it's a funny thing. We get, people spark up these kind of almost like pen pal relationships a lot of the time. You have a bunch of friends who you add as you go. You can ask them to correct your exercises as you go. You can just have a constant back and forth. And some of these
people fall in love and get married.
Yeah, and they do. And it's a really, really cool story. You can actually find out about it on the blog on Busuu. There's a little bit about it there. So it's a great.
Interesting. So it's also interesting that the company's been around for so long, because 12 years in the world of tech is basically kind of 12 millennia. And when you joined as a product manager, how many product managers were there? How big was the function? And the reason why I'm asking is that our audience is diverse. So we've got people who want to transition into product management, and they probably want to look at a bigger company. But then we have founders or early stage founders who are thinking, well, when do I need a product manager? Essentially, how long can I get away with doing the product management myself? And I find that there is this tipping point when the founder has to step back and get some professionals.
Yeah, I think when I joined, there was one other product manager here. So there was three of us in the product org in total. And that was, the company had pretty much been at that level, so never had more than one or two product managers for its first 7 or 8 years. And that, as I joined, was the beginning of that first level of change, right? So we were like 45 people. We're now about 120. And it's kind of like this very sustainable growth we've been trying to develop. But, the product org is now 8 product managers, and we are growing a lot of those product managers from within the company, actually. So yeah, it was the journey itself is one of trying to focus the business into core areas. So we divided it very much upon growth and learning experience originally. And, we wanted to have half of, or some resource going after growing user acquisition or conversions. And then we wanted to have one part of the business really caring about that core learning experience. So when those users we do get there, that they actually are able to learn and learn effectively, and that the value of that product is communicated. And so that balanced it really nicely. And, we just kind of went after those for a while. And, we've grown over time. Having a B2B product manager, for example, was a big step, because it basically opened up this whole new channel of business for us, which was bringing these kind of customers to, and it's just like a bolt-on essentially to the existing product, which we've then developed and now created this amazing kind of business product off the back of that. So it was always with a view of, look, what do we care about most? Where are we going to kind of reach our audience best, and how are we going to do it? And, the product team has now got, product managers for parts of the education content management system, for example. And we've got, junior associate growth PMs who are studying their MBA as well, so doing time there. And we've also, kind of branched it out even further to kind of breaking the learning experience product down. And that's how we've kind of grown. So very much growth and learning experience at the top, and bringing things in as there's been a need to do it.
My next question is going to be about career transition. because you studied journalism and now you've been very successful in a tech role, which is, I'm assuming that was not the plan. And I see quite a lot of people who want to get into product management as non-technical people. And while they see that it is possible, they don't even know where to start. So what would be your recommendations right now? You know, you've got somebody who's maybe a smart marketer, or I don't know, they're a lawyer or whatever, and they want to get into PM. What do they do?
Yeah. I think what I typically see is people from a variety of backgrounds, but you tend to get people who, you know, moving into product management who kind of want to be the masters of their own destiny a little more. That's how I like to.
I like it. Yeah.
You know, you want to own this thing. Own is an awful word that doesn't really kind of resonate particularly well with a number of people, but you do want to be like, you know, responsible. You want to call on a lot of different things to be able to achieve something. And I think, you know, regardless of what you're doing, whether it's marketing, maybe it's analytics, maybe it's engineering, maybe it's not, maybe it's design, maybe it's just, you know, not just, but maybe it's, you know, business admin. You know, the key thing you want to do is build that plan, right? So you're kind of, yeah, your 5-year plan, right, about where you want to do, where you are now, and the path you want to lead to get there. So almost like visualizing how you could approach it, right? You know, if you're looking around at the opportunities you have in your current company, if you have a company to work in, you know, how can you attach yourself to understanding more around how the business works, or more about how design works? If those things don't exist in your day-to-day, you know, build something. In all honesty, give it a go, right? Design a email, design a newsletter, a website, buy a blog and a template that comes with it for free. And I think if you can, you know, start building this plan and visualizing where you want to go and how you might do that, you can then start to start that journey, right? Another real kind of, I think, thing I found quite helpful along it was seeking some level of mentorship. That doesn't need to be from a current product manager, even though there are loads out there who, you know, you can go on, just Googling product manager mentors or mentorship programs, right? You will, you know, find people willing to help you on these journeys. And, you know, there's websites set up to help you connect with that. It's a really, really great way to meet people, meet like-minded people. There's endless meetups as well around the world that you can kind of go to and start listening and exposing yourself to this information. The worst thing about product management, and the best thing in my opinion, is that there is no one route, there is no one path. And to be a software engineer, you need a computer science degree, most likely. You need to be able to code, right? Whereas product management, you know, people come from all these different paths to get there. And I think that's really, really cool, as long as you look at it in a positive way and an opportunity. You know, I can go about this however I want, versus, oh my God, I don't know that all these paths that I go on, I just want this simple path to get there. How do I achieve it? And you need to be okay in those moments. And it's really about, you know, it's trusting yourself. And, you know, the feeling of that struggle, it's completely okay. And kind of let those moments come in and let them exist, and then let them pass, and then stay on your journey and keep the you know, the focus. I've worked with, you know, when I worked at Moo with the QA, the software engineer who was responsible for testing. She wanted to become a product manager, and she went on a general assembly course to do so. And, you know, even after that, she was, you know, it was a struggle to find a role, because, you know, some of those, the associate product roles, right, when you haven't been doing it before, hard to find and step into. But, you know, we carried on talking after we, you know, both left at the time, and, you know, just having those people being able to talk to each other and help guide each other, and, you know, over time, you know, she's now at Ocado as a product manager, which is a great company to work for, right? And she's gone through a couple of companies to get there. And
that was the toilet paper you want during the lockdown.
Exactly. So, you know, I would say, yeah, kind of those things where you build that plan. If you look around you and you can't do the stuff that you need to get on that plan, try and build something yourself. Seek some level of mentorship and try to start connecting with people in the industry that you feel passionate about, like learn from each other. And the last thing would be I to ever do would be to buy one of the many billions of product management books that potentially are out there to help confuse you. I'd steer clear of that. Just stick to the mentorship, the building, and the communication with others.
And also, I've found that when I've been speaking to product managers who are recruiting non-technical people with non-technical backgrounds, or non-technical background product managers themselves, the journeys are often quite different, but there are similarities. So you can. So all of the people who are watching this, they're members, that you can literally go to the product management section. You can watch all the different sessions with different product managers, and you'll see that they're all different. But there's always an element of building something. So a person has always done some kind of project. Basically, they've done something, or if they haven't done something by themselves, because that's quite a big feat to just create something completely by yourself, like that. And completely by yourself, that also doesn't really exist. But they would have been involved in something. So they would have been involved in maybe somebody else's startup, or they would have maybe shadowed a product manager at their job. So one of the people I spoke to, she works in product. She's a product manager at The Telegraph, and she started off as a journalist. So another transition from journalism to product. And so her transition was literally journalism. Then she was the digital editor. So she was publishing news on basically the Telegraph website, and she was responsible for what that looked like. And then she was thinking, actually the digital bit is interesting me more than doing the editing and the reporting. And so then she goes and essentially asks the product managers whether she can get more and more involved with them and literally just watch what they're doing. And so she basically learns from them and then transitions that way. So there is an element of doing something yourself, but also there is an element of networking. Everybody who I've seen who's made this transition has found mentors, has found people that they can use as examples, essentially just created a whole network of product managers around them. And then I think the last thing is as you said, basically getting mentors and getting somebody who kind of can give you relevant advice, because there are peers and then there are mentors, and those are different things. So in terms of your role right now, I'll be interested to understand the difference between the growth product and the actual product, because I just want to get some examples maybe of how growth hacking and product management work together. Like maybe you could tell us about some features that you've designed, that not you've designed, but that you managed to get into the product that help it grow. I just want to make sure that people understand the product and the growth hacking and how they mesh.
Yeah. So how we split the company up originally between growth and learning experience was, look, we got this product, right, that enables people to learn the language. The growth squad are tasked with connecting more people to that part of the product, right? So, we were really focusing on user registration, marketing techniques, enabling marketing teams to be able to essentially produce offers to track users, right? We would deal with onboarding as well. So landing into the product, registering, onboarding into the product. So those first moments, those really kind of early aha moments, as they're known, right? Oh, I get this product, right? And then we were much more...
interrupt you here, just so, because some people might not know. I know what you're talking about, but just so we slow it down a little bit. So it's literally, it will be something like, okay, so there's a marketing team and they have created a bunch of ads and they put them out on Facebook. But once the person downloads the app, because because the Facebook campaign has been so effective. If you then give them really crappy screens from your app, then it doesn't matter how amazing the marketing team has been or how much money you've paid to Facebook. If the onboarding screens are literally the first screens that you see, if those screens are rubbish or they're unwelcoming or they're confusing, then the marketing spend would have essentially been wasted. And what you're saying is that it's your team that then makes sure that once the user's handed over from the marketing team, the experience that they have getting into the product is super duper amazing. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, you absolutely nailed it there, right? You can, it's a lot, I wouldn't say easier, but it's a lot quicker to be able to create some level of marketing activity, right? Create an Instagram ad. It's not easy to make them amazing and to make them work. But you can certainly lie to people at the top of the funnel and get them to click. It's clickbait, right? At the end of it. You can do whatever you want in that moment. But no one cares. It doesn't matter if promises are not met. Problems are not solved further on, and that's what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to, that's why understanding marketing is so important, because no one cares about your product if no one hears about it, for the first, right? And then secondly, once you're starting to get those users in, you need to make the experience really great for them. And what we're doing is, the way it's worked really nicely for us with the growth organization has been like, we not only input into that marketing space where we're building, tools and experiences for them. So, it might be help working with kind of, CRM and email management solutions, or it might be, landing pages for websites, right? You need someone to build those landing pages at Busuu, and that's, what the growth squad, one of the responsibilities. And so, it's about when those users do come to your product, how do you then deliver on that promise, or that, how do you connect them with the value proposition that the product has? And that's how we think about it. We are developing a really great onboarding experience as best we can. We're constantly iterating on it. We're constantly changing it. We spend 80% of our time on that onboarding experiment as a growth squad. And, because, the very, very top of that funnel, where the most people are, a small change there can have such a bigger impact than way further down, right? Where, you have far less people. And, moving away from the visualization of a funnel, when you move into the understanding of how growth loops exist, right? And this is where it gets really exciting for me. The investment you made at the very top, how do you get a return on that quickly, so you can take that money and put it back into the very, very top of the funnel, right? How can you make this thing turn? How can you get a user to use your product, to share it with someone else, get someone to sign up, and then get to do the same, right? In terms of referral products, right? And we also have built the referral programs for Busuu. It's a kind of great growth lever for you. But typically it is all about getting those users through your product and then retaining them afterwards. And that's where, when you start looking at some of the growth hacking pieces, it is looking across a series of what they call growth levers. Acquisition, so acquiring customers, engaging those users, referring, or the referral process of that, getting them to refer other users. Revenue, which is all around, trying to monetize this product to get a return on it, right? And then finally, retention. So getting those users to continue to come back and be the advocates for the business. And those are all problems that shift, and they're all great areas to focus in. And as I say, the growth org does sit across all of them. But typically, it may be from time to time, we focus much more around growing user acquisition, so the number of users who come in. We really, really care about. That's how you get known. And some startups will have a bunch of funding where they'll be like, you just need to go out there and start making your product, getting people to adopt it and getting better at it and understanding users. And we'll worry about really monetizing it way later down the line.
That doesn't happen as much anymore. Well, at least outside of California. I think maybe in California it still does a bit, but in general, now investors tend to be much more focused on unit economics, either right from the start or pretty close to the start. It's interesting that you've basically just gone through the various different types of metrics, and then it's interesting that you then point out that those are the right metrics for specific times. So sometimes it's going to be user growth, that's going to be the most important one, and that's going to be usually the number one. So that's the first thing that you do, and you'll eventually get to revenue, but unless you have anybody even downloading your thing and maybe even signing up to your email list, because like, for example, email list is kind of like a free trial. If nobody's even doing that, then nobody's going to give you any money, because at first they need to see. Generally we all like to have a free thing. Which is basically audience growth.
Exactly. And those areas for growth are, they vary at different, as you say, different times. And then, they all have ways of measuring them, whether it is, as you say, email signups, registrations, use of the product, a sharing of the product with someone else. And, there's some great ways to measure them. And, you just need to define what those things are across each growth area.
Well, that was a lot of useful information. If you want to join our sessions live and participate in our masterclasses and ask your questions about your individual concerns, then join Tech for Non-Techies as a member. Just go to techfornontechies.co or check out the link in the show notes. Also, in the show notes, you will see that there is a link to a freebie. You can get a free guide on how you can go from idea to live app, and that is in the show notes. If you found this episode useful, which I hope you did, it will be wonderful if you left a rating and a review. Each time I read one of your reviews, my heart literally just melts, and I've been trying to work out a way to thank people individually because the reviews have been just so lovely, but I haven't found a way to do it. But just so you know, I have read all of the reviews and they just make me feel so warm and fuzzy. So I'm really, really grateful for your support. And if you haven't left a rating or a review yet, this is your chance. Thanks for listening, everyone, and have a lovely day.